So, so you're about to do your big speech. A little bit nervous. Hey, maybe even you're a lot of bit nervous. One thing I want you to realize is that is completely normal. That is a part of being a human being. And we can ultimately use that nervousness to help us out. So I want you to know that like this nervousness is part of a human condition, something that's went way back in the human species, something that's a part of our DNA. And it goes back to something you might have learned about in science class, or maybe even remember from my class. It's called fight or flight. And the concept is when we get put into stressful situations, we can do one of two things. We can fight that situation, or we can run from that situation. Now, in this case, of course, fight doesn't mean fisticuffs. We're talking about actually stepping up to the plate and doing your speech. Running away or not doing the speech, I guess, would be an example of actually running away. But what this is, it goes back to the ancestry of human beings. The idea is when you get put in a stressful situation, you got to do something, right? You got an option to either confront that situation or run away from it. And this will happen to us in all sorts of stressful situations, not just in speeches, but maybe if you meet somebody cute, or maybe if you're at work and you get yelled at or something to that effect. Anytime we feel stressful situations, this fight or flight kicks in. Now, what it does essentially is get your body ramped up for action, whether that action is fighting or running. So some things that happen to us, our hearts beat faster. Right? You got to get that blood coursing through. You got to get that oxygen rich blood coursing through your body to all your extremities so they can get ready for action. You breathe heavier. Why do you breathe heavier? Because you need to get that oxygen in the body. You might have to run, you might have to perform. So you breathe heavier, your heart beats faster, you start to sweat. And why do you do that? Because it cools down the body, right? Another thing that happens, and this is probably one of the more embarrassing things, you lose weight. Not a lot. This isn't a diet program or anything, but what happens is your body tends to expel any extra weight that it can. And of course, yeah, I'm talking about one or two, hopefully not three. It's one or two put together. But why do you think there's a saying, you scared the crap out of me? Right? Those are real things. Those are part of fight or flight. So in other words, your body is trying to set itself up to a point where it is ready to do just about anything. Now, let's move over here, I guess. When it comes to speech apprehension, all speech apprehension is the manifestation of all this excess energy. It's that energy swirling around in your body. And since it is excess energy, it wants to be used. Now, unfortunately, in speech, it gets used in ways that just make us look nervous. And look, one of the things we're trying to do in speech is look confident, right? We want to look like we know what we're talking about. We don't want to look like scared little rabbits or anything like that. So let's talk about where and what that energy does. Here is you. Weakest marker ever. And I'm playing it up a bit. I ain't gonna fake the phone. That's part of me. So here we go. That's you. I guess we'll give you a mouth. I'll give you a nostril too. There you go. I suppose an ear would work. A little bit of hair. So when it comes to speech apprehension, essentially this manifestation of fight or flight, what starts to happening is that energy starts to build up, and that energy likes to go out wherever it can. For instance, that energy will try to escape out of your feet. Now, what are some things that feet do? Feet rock, whether it's side to side, whether it's forward, or maybe we can get the down low shot here. All right. Or some other things that feet do. I guess people pace. People do what I call the ant killer. That's all just that nervous energy trying to get out of your body. But look, if you're going to have nervous energy, if it's going to be a factor in your speech, how do you use it? If you know it's going to escape out of your feet, how do you utilize that excess energy? Because it is good to use this energy, because you can't do a speech without energy. You have to have some sort of zest to you. Otherwise, nobody's going to pay attention to you. You're going to be boring. So what do I do as a teacher? I do this number. I'll walk to one side of the room, and that has a double effect of getting rid of my energy, but also gaining attention from my audience from one side to the next. But one thing about this, I'm not pacing, because there's a pause on each end, right? I will come to one side, pause, and then move on, right? So if your energy is going to escape out of your feet, maybe you could adopt this sort of thing where you get rid of it by using the movement consciously. So if you feel that starting to go into your feet, just move it out. Move it out. And honestly, a little bit of movement in your legs, not nervous movement, but a little bit of conscious, chosen movement in your legs makes you look like a better speaker. It's better than being, that looks too rigid, right? We got to look human while we give our speeches too. So another place that energy likes to go out is in the hands. People do all sorts of nervous tics with their hands, rubbing hands together or some other ones. Playing with things in your pockets. That just gives you a weird posture when you do that. No cards play. People manipulating no cards. Just hold the no cards. Just hold the no cards. The hair flip. Right? Or some other things. Wiping sweat on your pants. I have seen before nose picking, ear picking. Here's one. Oh, with the nose picking and the ear picking, I should put out. I don't believe this person was a chronic public nose picker. It was literally just nervousness that drove that finger in. But yeah, the holding on of cuffs, or a lot of people might have jewelry. The ring toss. Don't do this with your necklace. If you do it too much, it might wear through, right? Playing with jewelry is another thing. Cracking knuckles. That has apparently become America's favorite nervous tic. Cracking knuckles. I don't crack my knuckles, and I want you to know that. So try not to crack your knuckles in a nervous fashion when in front of class. Anything else? Usually I have a class dialogue during this part of my speech, but I'm here, you're in there. So what do you do with your hands? Drop them to your sides. You're going to have note cards. Note cards shouldn't be up in front of your eyes. They shouldn't be way down here. It takes too long to look all the way down and all the way up, right? Sometimes I like to think, take your dominant hand. For instance, I'm right-handed, so take your dominant hand, put them cards in there about halfway up, halfway down. And if you need to, then there's a bolt going through your elbow right into your gut right there. And just kind of keep it there. It's a nice spot. What about your other hand? That's still free. What are you going to do with that? Well, gesturing is probably the best thing to do with that. If you need to get nervous energy out of your hand, use gestures. It is amazing how much gesturing can add to your speech. So consider using gesturing as a way to enhance what's coming out of your mouth. Remember, you're not going to just be talking with your hands. It's not going to be like this. It's not ASL, but use gesturing to help enhance your performance. And when you do that, not only are you adding to what you have to say, but you're also getting rid of some of that nervous energy that's bound to come out of your hands. So don't be afraid to use gestures as a way to get rid of that nervous hand energy. If it's going to come out, we might as well use it. And quite frankly, what are we looking at now? Moving out your nervous leg energy so you can get to different parts of the room, using gestures to add to the understanding of your language. This is all good for an effective speech. But we're not done yet. Nervous energy out of the mouth. Ooh, this one. Let's talk about what people might do with nervous energy out of the mouth. Stuttering. Might bite their lip. What else? They might go quiet with it. Or, they might get a quaver in their voice, like a little fluctuation, a little flutter in their voice. Never be afraid to have a little coffee or water on hand. That way, if you need to take a break, like if you find yourself getting stuck in a stutter and you need to take a break, you can pause and then continue again. That is completely acceptable within the speech world. Everybody gets a dry mouth at times. Everybody takes pauses here and there in our conversations. And when we speak, just, try to keep it to like 2 seconds. Don't do like a 30-second pause. Then it just gets awkward by that point. So if you're going to have nervous energy coming out of your mouth, maybe you're chewing your cheeks, maybe you are. Okay, here's one that I've seen a lot. And I need extra liquid for this. Slapping or smacking of the lips. That's one too. So what do you do with all that extra energy? Use it to enunciate. Make sure that every single syllable that comes out of your mouth is so absolutely crystal clear, because what I'm doing is actually focusing extra energy on my lips, on my tongue, on my mouth, in order to make sure that every single syllable that comes out of my mouth is delivered so clear and effective. And so what I'm doing is I'm actually using that excess energy that's coming out of my mouth in order to make my speech better. There you have it. If we're going to get nervous every time we do a speech, and like I said, it happens to everybody. If we're going to get nervous, we can utilize that extra energy. Don't become a victim to that energy. Saddle up that energy and ride it off into the sunset. We can do it by going through and walking around a little bit, but making sure it's a controlled walk. We can do it by having excess gestures, or not excess gestures, but using gestures as a way to get it out. And we can do it by enunciating every word that comes out of our mouth. So please know that speech apprehension is a thing that happens to us all. And it is going to be up to you individually to figure out what you do and how to make it better. But public speech is a highly individualized thing. So start honing down on those things that you do and figuring out how to fix those, how to make those things better. And I always tell students to focus on the one big thing that you do wrong. So if you're a foot tapper, try that one up first. We can worry about the 15 other things you do, the 10 other things you do, the 5 other things you do after you dry up the tapping. But take the biggest beast and take that down first. You will do awesome. It takes practice, but it will get better. Speech apprehension gets less and less and less. Every time you hone in on those things, every time you practice, every opportunity you get to do a speech, it does get better. So take heart. And hey, thank you.